Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats, your technology show that demystifies everyday technology like your computer and your cell phone and all kinds of fun technology that may be in your home. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And today on the show, we're getting browserlicious. We're going to look at all of these web browsers that have been popping up all over the place. You know, once upon a time it was easy, you had a choice between two, and now like 5 or 6 or zillions.
Six zillion. Incidentally, I would have gone with browserific.
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 It's a browserific show today on Lab Rats. So anyway, I think we've got a lot to cover.
Yes.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at all of the new browsers, including IE, Mozilla, and beyond, after this.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Hover, the easiest way to buy domain names and do more with them. Get 25% off today by visiting hover.com/labrats.
You know, in the beginning, there were 2 web browsers. There was Mosaic, one of the very NCSA Mosaic, way back in the dark ages of the internet, aka 1994, 1995. And then came Netscape. And Netscape was the granddaddy, was the one that dominated.
Yes, I remember Netscape. These are the first graphics-based browsers.
Graphics-based browsers,
Of course,
yeah.
There were text-based browsers before, like Lynx, but for all intents and purposes, that's a completely different area than we're talking about today.
And today, of course, we have, I think, probably, we're going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 today. You know, that you'll have a choice of that you may come across and may want to try out. And 2 are kind of the contenders at the moment, right? So, you know, there's Internet Explorer, which, of course, is Microsoft's browser. The latest version is Internet Explorer 8, IE 8.
The dominant browser in the market. Maybe not 8, but IE, for sure.
Right. And then there's Mozilla Firefox, right, which is we'll talk about that a little bit later as to where that came from. But let's start with, you know, the brand new Internet Explorer 8, because I think that's worth looking at in a little bit more depth than perhaps these other ones, besides maybe Firefox. Okay, so I have it. It's just literally come out in early March 2009, which is when we're recording this show. And IE8 has sort of. It's interesting actually to see how Microsoft has sort of gone through its evolution. It's a major upgrade for them. Since I would say even IE4, like it's a complete reinvention of their browser with lots of new features. And I say the highlight of IE8 has got to be a couple of key things that I want to show you here. First of all, there's a brand new private browsing feature, which actually is showing up in some of the other browsers as well. So if you're surfing a website that you don't want anybody else to know about, like a store for your wife's diamond ring, or other sites, and you don't want it to be tracked. You don't want anybody to come to your browser and go, oh, what has he been shopping for?
Yes.
Then there's this new browser mode called in-private browsing.
Okay, so this is different from the previous version of IE that introduced secure browsing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's no in-private. Basically, doesn't track your cookies, doesn't track your address. It's basically it tracks nothing.
It's stealth mode.
It's a stealth mode, exactly. So it's available from the Tools menu. Simply what you're going to do is you're going to go to Tools, and you're going to go to what's called in-private browsing right here. You can start it with Control-Shift-P as well. And what it does is it basically opens a new window. And it, as you can see up here, it says in private in the actual address bar. So you can go to www.buymywifeasecretring.com, which I don't think is going to go anywhere. And if she comes and looks at your history, she won't know that you've actually been shopping for a new ring for her.
There you go. Use this for good, not for evil.
Not for evil. Okay. So that was one notable thing. I was actually surprised to see that in the IE8, but you know, I think there is a demand for it. People are very concerned about what they do on their browsers these days, and other people finding out.
Well, there we go. I mean, we've got computers that are shared by everyone in the family, and there's just some things that, you know, around birthdays and Christmas and whatnot, you just don't want everyone else to know.
Right. The other thing that I thought was notable is Microsoft has made it easier now to search for things on a page. When you have a long page of content and you're looking for a specific, you know, you search for a term, and then you see this page full of text, you're like, well, where's that term that I searched for? So if you click on Edit now, there's a function called Find on this page. It drops down a little search box, find box, and if I type in the word Amber here, as you can see on the page, we have butterscotch.com's list of shows there, and Amber MacArthur, the name Amber, shows up in blue. So it's a very useful thing. And then finally, just real quickly, because we could spend all day on this, but the other one that I noted was something called web clips. And what this is a way to kind of grab a small piece of a site, and when it updates, check that out in your favorites. So if I go to, let me go over here to MSN, and I fire it up there. What you're going to see is when I roll my mouse over different pieces of the website, if the webmaster of the website has enabled it, then you're going to see a little green icon. And when you click on it, it says, oh, sorry, it's not web, it's called web slicing. I can click to my add for favorites. It will pop up here, as you can see. And then when the content of that part of the page updates, it will actually glow. It'll show you that content's, and you can just see that piece of the site. Right,
so you don't really have to spend all your time going to all of these sites if it's just a single little portion of the site that you're interested in.
Exactly. So I have, for example, the weather here for Toronto that I've grabbed earlier from the Weather Network, and it shows me the current weather. And then when that updates on that page, it actually glows, and I know so it's a good way to track little pieces of information as you go.
Okay, so this is slightly different than the feature that that Apple introduced with their previous version of Safari, web clipping, where you could basically draw a box around something on a web page that you want to monitor and create a widget for it in your dashboard.
Yeah, so
this is much more compact, and it's always in your browser. It looks like.
Although the webmaster on the site has to actually enable it with some special code. So there you go. So the web slice is called.
Web slice.
Okay, so let's move on. So. One of the other things that I want to show you here, of course, is the other dominant browser in the marketplace. It used to be Netscape. AOL acquired the Netscape code and then made it public domain so that all the source code was available, and they developed a non-profit organization called Mozilla Firefox. Mozilla. So Firefox is the browser. This is a browser that I highly recommend personally. It kind of invented tab browsing, for example. So as you can see, you can just add tabs as you go, like that.
With Control-T, I believe. Control-T,
exactly. And it's easy to use, fast, and that sort of thing. Although it's starting to look a little bit old around the edges now that IE8 and some of the other browsers are adding this new functionality. But what I do like about Mozilla Firefox is the add-ins that you can get to enhance the functionality. And it doesn't use the technology called ActiveX, which Internet Explorer had used historically, which had been a vulnerability for viruses and spyware and drive-by nasties.
Yeah, and for the longest time, we were recommending going over to Firefox instead of IE simply because of that security issue. Now, Microsoft has really clamped down on that over the last little bit so that it is more secure than it used to be. But for a while, because Firefox didn't use ActiveX at all, it meant that bad guys just couldn't take control of your browser as easily as they could.
That's right.
You say IE8 is now more secure than Firefox?
I don't know. I know. It's hard to say at this point. I mean, any new browser introduces new vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
Because IE8 is brand new. I would say IE7 is probably more as secure as Firefox, but IE8 is still an unknown.
Wait and see.
We'll wait and see if there's anybody that finds a vulnerability in web slices or something like that. Okay, so then the also ran browser in the world, right up until very recently, is a Scandinavian technology, Finnish company called Opera.
Actually, they're Norwegian.
Are they Norwegian?
They're Norwegian.
They're
You're thinking of all the cell phone companies.
I am thinking of Nokia. Anyway, so yeah, so they are Norwegian, and Opera really didn't have any traction in the main browser. You know, for a while in the wars, they tried to sell it. That didn't work. And it's a fairly nice browser, as you can see here. It has all the functionality you would want of a browser, and I think, you know, it's fast. Has some real devoted fans and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's it. They didn't have a lot of fans, but the fans that they had were just like, Opera is amazing.
Absolutely, and and good on them. I mean, it's a great product, and I never caught fire with me. Like, I used it, it's okay, but there's no real compelling reason to use it.
Well, there's one new compelling reason to use it potentially, and that's first of all, the one big compelling reason for me is the previous generation that I remember was adware, and they've gotten rid of that now. So you could download it for free, but you'd always be seeing ads in the top. Now, that's gone, so you don't have to worry about that. But they've got this new feature that actually is called Turbo Mode that's in Opera 10. That actually,
so it hasn't been released yet, but it's coming soon, right?
It's coming soon. You can download the beta now if you want to try it out from labs.opera.com. But what it does is it creates a compression of websites. So if you go to a website on a regular basis, it'll actually compress that data, and you'll create a secure connection to opera.com, which will then compress it in both directions so that it won't actually send you all of the information that you would get if you went to it by itself. So
loads super fast. It's a really
it loads faster, which is not necessarily what you need when you're at home on Wi-Fi, but if you're on a really restricted connection, for example, you've tethered this to your cell phone, then it may be of use. Or if you're in a very busy space, like at a public event where you've got tons and tons of people using the same access point, it'll help bring things down a little bit faster. Gets rid of the stuff you don't need.
Now, Opera's really made a name for themselves, though, in mobile browsing and alternative browsers. I think is it the Wii that's using the Opera browser?
The Wii does, definitely.
The Wii does, yeah.
And Opera exists on a bunch of handheld units now, like smartphones. But yeah, definitely the Wii is the big news for Opera these days.
Right. So they're making inroads into sort of these niche markets. And I think they're going to be around for a while. They finally found their business model. They realized they can't compete against Microsoft or the Firefox browser, so they're finding their niche, and good on them.
Well, there's the thing, is Microsoft has the entirety of Microsoft behind them. Mozilla has the open source community behind them, and Opera, if this is all they're doing to make a living, then yeah, you got to have another way to bring in the dollars.
Got that, okay, good. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about Apple, because Apple has their own browser too.
Yes.
So that's called Safari, right?
Safari, yeah, and it's in revision 4 right now, so that's the beta that's just come out. That version 3 of it was the one that introduced web clipping, which we talked about briefly earlier. And version 4 has sort of changed the look and feel a little bit in a couple of key ways. Number one, beforehand, you notice on the browser you used to have a home tab that would take you to your dedicated home page, or a home button. And on the beta that we've got here, it actually doesn't have the home tab, but it has a little grid here, which actually brings you up to what I have now, top sites. And this is a little page that learns what your top sites are and replaces these images in here. Each of these is a website. So we've got, say, Flickr, Twitter, eBay, Amazon. I've got Butterscotch up here because I go here regular, and it learns. So as you go to a site more, it'll appear in this site. And as you don't go to a site, it'll drop off this page altogether. They've also got a technology that was in the iPod and then moved into the operating system before, called CoverFlow. And when you go to your history here, you can go to Show All History, and now you can see all of the web pages we've gone to. And just like with the main page you've got there, where you see little images of all of the sites you go to, now you can actually see a quick image of the site you're going to. So if you remember what it looked like but don't quite remember the name or whatever, and you've gone to it, you can just sort of scroll through here until you find it.
All right, so it's very similar to going through albums on the iPod.
Right. And they have introduced a new way of tabbing as well. So you noticed on most of the other browsers, you've got the title bar across the top and then a bunch of tabs dropping down below. What this does is it actually breaks the title bar into tabs instead. So now we've got our history, we've got Twitter over here, and we've got our Butterscotch over on this tab as well. And to create a new tab, you just click on the plus at the far end. Now this one has been available on Apple for a long time now. I mean, the browser as a whole, 4 is new to both Apple and the Windows. They introduced a Windows version of Safari on the 3rd go-around. So not necessarily the most secure browser out there on Windows. It was very buggy, apparently, when it first came out.
It sure was.
They sort of squashed some of those bugs now, but maybe not the best for the Windows experience. But on Apple, it's pretty good.
Yeah, good on Apple for releasing a browser that's multiple platform. I think that's noble of them, and whether it actually gains traction Windows or not is I think beside the point. It's just good to see them, especially in the world where people are actually using Apple products on the Windows side anyway. It just shows that they are not just a hardware dedicated company anymore.
No, and the one thing about the Windows version of this is it actually has now a Windows look and feel to it as opposed to an Apple look and feel. So if you don't want to be, have the Apple branding jammed into your face when you're using the browser, then that's one thing as well.
Good.
Firefox, by the way, also available on Apple. Opera available on Apple, i.e. one of the only ones that's not available on Apple technology at this point.
Right, very good, okay. And then finally, before we wrap up, I did want to mention one new browser that sort of popped up recently that was a bit of a surprise, although it had been rumored for a while, and that was a product we call, from Google, called Google Chrome. Now, Google Chrome is a web browser, fully functioned, very fast. Google's been very funny about it, though, and I've got it right here. As you can see, it's a very austere-looking web browser. It does have a couple of features like some of the other browsers. It has, tab browsing and that sort of thing. It also has this new incognito window, they call it, which is very similar to the in-private function that IE has, and actually Safari has as well. Google's been funny with it, though. Like they're not really committing to it, from what I can tell. They did it because they said they were going to. They're a web search company that's releasing software now, so they're really a software company. But it's just funny because they don't seem to be that committed to it, even though they've released it out into the wild, and it's actually not a bad product.
And it's a great concept, too, because one of the things that people have complained about with these other browsers is there's too much stuff in them. It's just too heavy a product. It's slowing down the machine. Just opening up your web browser takes a lot of your system resources. So Chrome, the whole idea behind it was strip away all the stuff you don't need, just use the basics, make it minimal, and let's make it fast.
And you got to think that it'll work really well on Google.com.
Yes, and it works extra good on Google.com. Now, again, mostly on Windows at this point. It's coming very soon for Mac and for, yeah, it is available now for the Windows universe.
Okay, good. Last thought, I guess, your pick. So what do you use on an everyday, I mean, obviously you're an Apple user, so what are you using on your browser every day?
Well, you know, I've just started to explore Safari because it's pretty new, and I kind of like where it's going, but I got to admit, I'm a Firefox guy. I really like Firefox, and it's been stable for a bit now. There was a time on the Apple platform where it was a little bit iffy. You know, keyboard would stop working, it would just lock up. But you know, all of the other browsers that I kept trying, I liked even less. So, and you know, IE just not available here, so can't even try that. So I keep coming back to Firefox, and you know, I might stick with Safari this time around. It looks like a nice change for Safari here.
Wow, so a bit of a surprise from our Apple expert here. I would have thought you would have stuck with Firefox, but no, he's going to give Safari a try. As far as I'm concerned, you know, I run two browsers. I run IE8, which I really like. I really like what Microsoft's done. They made massive improvements. They're really committed to the browser marketplace, and they've done some smart things in this new IE8 browser. And finally, you know, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, and I'm going back to Firefox. I always use Firefox. I will start with Firefox, and I will end with Firefox. So I can see my machine having, you know, the two browsers on my systems, primarily using a Firefox, and I cannot wait to see what Mozilla produces in terms of version 4 of the Firefox browser. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I'm waiting with bated breath to see what they're going to do to top IE8.
Yep. If you're using a different browser out there, definitely let us know. I mean, there's other variations on there, like there's Flock, the social web browser, which takes Mozilla's code base and sort of builds on that to add social networking features. If any of you is using Flock and really likes it, let us know. If there's anything else you've seen, let us know about that too. Okay. Definitely.
Okay, great. Well, I think there'll be a few people tell us to flock off. Anyway, that's it for our Browser Wars episode. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to look at giving you guys some stuff, some t-shirts and stuff like that after this. This episode brought to you by our friends at Hover. The easiest way to buy domain names and do more with them. Get 25% off today by visiting hover.com/labrats. You know, during the break, Matt, our producer, said, you know, you probably should mention the fact that, you know, choose one primary browser, use it most of the time, and keep one in reserve in the event that you load a web page and it just doesn't work in the browser. And really, I think that's what a lot of us do. It sounds like you do that. I do you know, I use Firefox most of the time, and then when something doesn't work, I'll go to IE8, although frankly, IE usually breaks things before Firefox does.
Yeah, although there are some sites that are coded specifically for Internet Explorer, especially things like Windows Update, you just can't use Firefox with them unless you have a special add-in with them. So at that point, it just might be easier to fire up IE8 and use it that way.
Right. Very good. Okay, good. Let's move on to the next segment, which is, you know, we've been asking you guys recently to let us know what your favorite Butterscotch.com show is outside of LabRats. You know, there's lots and lots of shows. There's tutorials. There's all kinds of different hosts that do technology content for you guys out there in internet land. And so we've said, hey, go out, have a look at the site, check out which show you like and which episode you like, and let us know. Well, we have our second win coming up, and it's who?
It is from our friend Jack Rumpel. He of the laptop pizza box fame.
Oh, yes, very good.
So Jack actually likes @.
Oh, @.
That's our show @, which is our on-location show where we go out into the field. We use that for CES. We've done some events around Toronto, out to New York, that sort of thing. So his favorite episode, he says, I don't know if I'll be able to pick only one episode because I like going back and forth looking at cool things I've missed at various shows. And he'll go ahead and say Duck Hunter anyways, from CES. Hunter.
All right, so we were at the Consumer Electronics Show with that, and checked out this new product from, what was the company called? Interactive Toy Concepts.
Interactive Toy Concepts.
Anyway, Jack, you win a fantastic Butterscotch.com t-shirt, so drop us a note and we'll send it off to you. And let's go have a look at the segment that Jack liked.
Welcome on deck. I'm Matt Harris.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman.
Welcome to the A-List. Hi, welcome to Miss Download.
What you do is you turn your bird on,
Yes.
and you'll toss it in the air.
Okay.
Once in the air, you shoot it down. Now you've got 30 seconds to get 3 direct hits while it's in the air.
Right.
And it's going to free fly, which, but it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, I can't imagine.
No, it's a great little item. Then you just get it, you charge it back up.
Now, this is a product that's going to be available when and how much?
It's going to be available in the spring.
Yeah.
The spring, May, to be specific.
2009.
2009.
Yeah.
For $29.99 retail.
Welcome on deck. I'm Matt Harris.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman.
Welcome to the A-List. Hi, welcome to Miss Download.
Well, congratulations, Jack. You have won a Butterscotch.com t-shirt. Yay. And you too can win a Butterscotch.com t-shirt by sending your favorite show and episode to us at
feedback@labrats.tv.
There you go. So don't forget to tell us your name and the episode number and send us a URL to the show if you like and that kind of thing. And if we pick your segment and show it on Lab Rats, we'll send you one of these fantastic t-shirts.
Hey, feel free to include your address and your shirt size as well.
That would
right
help.
off the bat.
That would want to bug you.
Yeah, we don't have to bug you and shame you into begging for the information. just send it along.
Speaking of prizes, here coming up next is an opportunity to win more Butterscotch.com stuff. If I can find it over here, I always leave it over here.
Why do you leave it over there?
I don't know.
The show's over here.
I know. Picture time.
Picture time.
Picture time is coming up again, and I want to show you our new picture. Oh, I'm putting it down here. Matt's looking at me funny. No, don't put it up there. I'll show it to you over here. It says new sticker book for Butterscotch.com. As you can see, all the shows have fun little stickers here. I'm going to peel one off and put it on your forehead just to show the kids at home.
Yeah.
There you go. So there you go. So Butterscotch.com stickers for you if you send us your picture. So Sean's going to show us the latest picture time contributor.
The latest one is, this is a computer setup from our viewer, Terry of Points Unknown. But it looks like we have the whole shebang here. We have printers, scanners, a Mac. It looks like there's a PC hidden down below. So there you go. It's a full meal deal right here.
Full meal deal. You're an equitable technology non-bigot or something like that. You love all the technology, apparently.
There we go.
All right, so you win one of our sticker books, and you too. Oops, not very good
that's
stickers.
an on deck sticker.
Oh, it's Matt's on deck.
Fix
Matt
it.
has a show called On Deck, so. Anyway.
Make sure you wash your face before you stick them to your forehead.
That's right, that won't work. Anyway, so you can also win one of these by sending your pictures to.
Stick this to your forehead, but make sure to scrub and scrub and scrub and scrub before you stick it on at labrats.tv.
Or
feedback@labrats.tv.
there you go. And you can send your pictures of yourself. We want to see you guys, your mom, your dad, your kids, pets, your technology setup, your websites. If you want to pimp your websites on LabRats, or whatever it is that you are aiming your camera at and is PG rated.
Yep, and let us know all of the names and everything that's involved inside there.
That's right, yeah. We want to know where you are, too.
Yeah, you know what? If you're going to send the picture, send your address, too, if you want to get this sticker book.
There you go. All right. All right, well, that's it for us. Thanks for pushing play this week, however you got to us. We love that you're out there. We love to do what we do here. Thanks so much. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And we'll see you next time.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
Here, let me put one on you. Oh, can't do it.